Chapter 23. A Sad Farewell.
A deafening roar threatened to raise the San Francisco Stadium roof, as Abe Cohen could now be seen on television and game screens excitedly punching his fist in the air, as he orchestrated a chorus of voices, all enthusiastically screaming out "Galactic, Galactic, Galactic, Galactic."
How good is this?
He shouted jubilantly into his microphone.
Because Team Galactic are now through to the final, having just made it 3 straight wins today. The time here is now 10 o'clock at night, but as you can see, no one has gone home or is going home. This stadium is jam-packed, and listen to the crowd cheer as their local team heroes wave to them victoriously from the gaming enclosure. They were absolutely brilliant, knocking over the French favorites Team Resistance, and they then followed that up by overcoming a formidable team from China, Team Beijing Power, who had been dominating the competition. And now the highly regarded Japanese stars, Team Rising Sun, have just fallen to their incredible gaming skills.
He then smiled at his co-commentator standing beside him and said,
"I am lost for words, Aziza. Isn't it just fantastic?"
Aziza was fighting hard to contain her own excitement as she replied,
"It's just wonderful, Abe, and I am so thrilled for them, especially as they were the only team comprised of 2 girls and 2 boys out of the whole competition. Even more incredible is that they came together from all parts of the world and from different cultures, yet I have never seen another team as close to each other as they are. I know their management team also come from different backgrounds, and yet together they have all become one formidable force. There is no doubt that they have been very appropriately named Team Galactic."
Abe was still enjoying the electric atmosphere of the crowd, as he said,
Yes, I believe you have made an important point there, Aziza, because even though we see this team as our own, we also recognize that their awesomeness is because of their diversity, which they have successfully molded into being their greatest strength. It is no surprise that San Francisco has become their home base, because our wonderful city is renowned for encouraging people from all walks of life to live harmoniously side by side together. As we all know, this reputation grew from the flower power movement of the 60s, when our Haight-Ashbury district was the iconic center for psychedelic rock music that promoted peace and love for all.
Aziza nodded in agreement and then quickly pointed out,
We can now see the team heading towards their preparation center, where they will get some rest before their final game, which is scheduled to start at midnight our time. Look at that fantastic entertainment that has already started on the center stage. There's no reason why anyone will get bored waiting for the final game, and once the winners have been announced, the global party of all parties will begin.
She then added with an admiring voice,
Special licenses from different authorities all around the world have been obtained to stage this incredible 72-hour event, and many people living nearby to the gaming stadiums have taken up the offer of free 5-star luxury hotel accommodation, situated far away from the hustle and bustle of crowds and party noise. Such was the remarkable planning of this competition, and no money has been spared to make it a success.
A disappointing groan could then be heard from the huge San Francisco crowd as they watched on the big gaming screen the highly rated yet controversial Team World Control win the other semi-final in Russia with their precise and aggressive gaming skills. Naturally, it was a far different story in the Moscow Stadium, as the elated crowd erupted with patriotism and song, as their revered Russian team finally overcame the incredibly focused Team Power from China, who had valiantly fought right to the very end. Abe jumped very quickly onto the microphone and said excitedly,
Well, there you have it, folks, because now we know who Team Galactic will be facing. And judging from your response, I know that many of you are worried, as Team World Control are one hell of a team. The confidence they show, which I know is often seen as arrogant, has built them a huge following all around the globe, made up of fans who love their ruthlessness and total disregard for other gamers. Many call them the bad boys of the competition, but regardless of what you think of them, they know how to play the greatest game on Earth, and they will be extremely hard to beat.
Aziza then added,
You are not wrong, and they have been hot favorites to take out this competition for a long time. Their superior attitudes somehow managed to get inside the heads of their opposition, causing many of them to doubt their own abilities when facing a crisis. I know this sounds ridiculous, but it's as if they will the opposing teams with the power of their own minds to make mistakes. Let's all hope Team Galactic remains strong in their focus when facing them in the final.
The camera and sound crew were now starting to pack up equipment, which prompted Abe to say,
It looks like we are about to be on the move again, as we will shortly be interviewing fans from all around the stadium. So get ready for us, because we're coming your way.
Other cameras then zoomed in on the center stage entertainment as a laser light show lit up the stadium. In the preparation center of Team Galactic, they were coming down from the high of just getting through to the final. Teresa, Arif, and Deepak were still enthusiastically congratulating the team, and when they turned on their TV and saw Team World Control celebrating their semi-final game win, Arif said,
"Well, it looks like it is finally going to be a battle between good and evil, as has been publicized right throughout this competition."
Don't worry about that.
Laughed Game Changer.
We'll just zap them with some of our higher vibratory energy, because remember, good and evil are on the same polarity pole.
That's a great idea, Game Changer.
Replied Fempower.
We will love them to submission.
He joked back with his wide grin.
You can love me to submission any day of the week.
And she just laughed, saying,
Keep your focus on the game, my friend.
Everyone laughed along lightheartedly, sharing in their joke, until Teresa brought their attention back to the TV, when she said,
"Look, Aziza and Abe are out amongst the crowd getting ready to interview fans. It will be fascinating to know how everyone is feeling about your win."
They all agreed and sat back more comfortably on the lounge, as they watched Aziza approach a pretty young African-American woman, aged in her early 30s, who was proudly dressed in bright yellow shorts and a purple Galactic t-shirt.
You certainly picked the right team to support.
Aziza said, smiling, and the woman replied with her own beaming smile.
I love Team Galactic because they always seem to be so happy around each other and they are brilliant gamers. I love all of them, Game Changer with his humor, Fempower with her feminine strength, Zotan with his analytical mind, and Lotus with her wonderful wisdom. They are all great.
That's brilliant,
said Aziza admiringly.
You certainly have analyzed them well. So what do you think of Team World Control?
The young woman thought for a moment before replying.
I know that there has been a lot of game theatrics played by many of the teams, but that team's arrogance is so much more real than an act. They come across as being so superior that fans either hate or love them, and for me personally, they are definitely not one of my favorites.
Aziza couldn't believe her luck in selecting someone so knowledgeable about the game, so she asked her,
What do you think about their players individually?
Well,
she said thoughtfully,
Annihilator is a young man very angry with the world. Nuke has been named correctly because of his explosive temper. Kamal Power is very controlling, and Scythe is about as cutting with his remarks as you can get. Don't get me wrong, because they are superb gamers, but sometimes you wonder if they possess any moral limitations on how they will win a game.
Aziza chuckled as she listened to her witty analysis of the players, and she said very warmly,
Thank you so much for your wonderful comments. And I might just add that you should be doing what I am doing, because you have a fantastic way with words.
Just as she said this, she could hear someone scream at her in a high-pitched voice.
You are a disgrace, Aziza, for a woman who was once raised in the Muslim faith.
And she then saw a man lunge at her with a knife, and before she knew it, Abe had stepped in front of her and blood was everywhere. The demonic man kept frantically stabbing his knife into Abe, who somehow, even though looking seriously injured, grappled him forcefully to the ground. Security guards then jumped on top of the attacker, kicking the knife out of his hand and held him securely as police rushed to the scene. Abe tried to stand up but then collapsed backwards onto the ground, as nearby onlookers quickly came to his assistance. One thoughtful person rolled up his own jacket and placed it under Abe's head to make him more comfortable, but it was obvious that he was in a very bad way, as he had stab wounds to his chest, stomach, and arms. The camera and sound crew were not only horrified, but totally mesmerized by what had just happened in front of their eyes, and unknowingly they continued to broadcast, even as Aziza knelt on her knees to hold Abe's hand.
Why did you do that?
She cried with anguish.
Why did you save me?
And Abe, trying his best to smile, said,
I love you, Aziza. I always have done.
Why haven't you told me this before?
She asked, sobbing even more deeply.
Because I have always felt the same way about you.
And he replied with a deep sadness.
I am Jewish, and your mother is Palestinian, so you know it is impossible for us to be together.
But that shouldn't affect us.
She said with tears in her eyes, while stroking his hair.
My dad is a Roman Catholic Irishman, and they have made it work because they respect each other's faith. When you meet my parents, you will know that there isn't a happier couple in the world.
She said, trying to hide her anxiety. Abe this time managed a smile and said quietly,
I know I've been foolish, but old customs are difficult to overcome. Please forgive me, Aziza, but I am so glad you know at last that I love you and I will always love you.
And with these words, his eyes closed, and he was still. Aziza held his body close to hers, kissing him on the cheek as she begged him with her anguished heart.
Don't leave me. Please don't leave me.
Medics who had just arrived gently pulled her away so that they could see his injuries, but as they examined him more closely, they knew that they were too late. The stadium crowd was silent, because the entertainment had stopped as soon as everyone had become aware of the tragedy being broadcast on the huge venue screens. Aziza, in her blood-drenched clothes, and with tears streaming down her eyes, looked directly at the camera and said,
How foolish can we be? How can two people deny themselves from sharing love because of religious and cultural differences? What is wrong with our world?
She sobbed uncontrollably.
And how can anyone want to kill someone else because they are not exactly what they think their God demands? Who is their God, I ask?
And she then broke down completely as she cried.
Oh, my love, I am so sorry.
Which somehow awakened her film crew to switch off their equipment and rush to comfort her. In the preparation center of Team Galactic, they were extremely distraught as they tried to support Teresa, who was deeply upset because of her close friendship with Aziza. They all had tears in their eyes, along with hundreds of thousands of other people who had just witnessed this heartbreaking event, and the switchboard of CBS was jammed as people rang to voice their horror and disapproval of this tragic event being broadcast. Sincere and heartfelt apologies were being made by management, reminding everyone that this was their very own much-loved commentators who were involved, and their close work colleagues who were directing the broadcast were so horrified and upset at what they were watching, no one thought of turning the live feed off. Arif said,
I can understand that happening, but sadly this is exactly what Storyteller was on about when he said it is time for us to move on from our religious and cultural differences. There couldn't be a greater example of just how tragic our attachment to old beliefs can be, and my heart goes out to Aziza and naturally to the family of Abe.
He then went on to add,
If that religious fanatic who attacked them had any idea of what we know now, I am sure he wouldn't have been radicalized in this way.
Teresa wiped her eyes and said painfully,
If this had happened before we met Storyteller, I would have been asking God why he has allowed this to happen. But now I fully understand that God can only act when we act, because he exists within us. All my life, I have looked for answers and help from outside of me, when in truth, I can see now that we create our own problems and only we can fix them.
She then started to cry again, as she said,
I didn't realize how our inner beliefs control our lives, and that makes it even sadder for Aziza and Abe, who will never experience love together.
Lotus put her arm around her and said comfortingly,
I am sure that they have experienced loving each other in the past, and they certainly will again in the future. We must remember that we are in a game and that they invited each other to play in their own games. Aziza doesn't know it now, but they may have both fulfilled each other's purpose. Abe's might have been to experience sacrificing his life for love, and Aziza's to know the feeling of unrequited love. Whatever the reason, their thoughts and beliefs somehow caused it to happen, as sad as it may seem.
That is beautifully said,
remarked Zlatan with genuine admiration for her.
But we must also remember that Storyteller wrote them into his book for a reason.
Exactly,
said an excited Deepak.
And I believe that he would have spoken to them separately, because remember how they both commented on how close we all were as a team, regardless of us having come from many different countries. It was as if they were saying that the world's greatest strength is when all nations unite as one. What is amazing, though, is that I don't think either of them were aware that they both had been told the story about the greatest game of all by Storyteller.
I am sure you are right,
replied an amazed Zlatan.
But surely he wouldn't have written them into the story to have this tragic ending.
No, he wouldn't have done that.
Defended Fempower.
Because he told us that we have exactly the same freedom of choice as the All has given to every person in our world.
Then why has this happened?
Asked Game Changer, looking bewildered by it all. Arif suddenly awakened from deep thought, and with tears in his eyes said,
I truly feel that the illumined ones have just spoken to me, and they explained that Abe believed his love for a Palestinian would bring shame and death to his family, which was ultimately fulfilled because what you believe or fear becomes your reality. His other belief of it being an impossibility for them to share a love together was also confirmed by his tragic departure from Aziza, but his sacrifice to save her life has broken the pattern of deep hatred and racism that was instilled within his mind from past generations. This is what he had set out to achieve in this game of life, and now he is being celebrated for his success while he prepares to reincarnate to play again. As for Aziza, she came into this world with a fear to not only love someone but to express love. and so she created an outward-going personality to mask her deep insecurities. Abe unknowingly joined her game of life so that she could feel love, but unfortunately, it was only in his dying moments that she was able to recognize and express her love to him. Having said that, she has now learned that she can feel and give love unconditionally, and so in the future she will never allow her feelings to be hidden again, and will enjoy other great loves in this and future lifetimes.
Oh, that makes me feel so much better.
Sighed a relieved but teary Teresa.
And I am so glad you have been given these insights, Arif.
He smiled appreciatively and then continued.
As you can see, they both came into each other's life game for a reason, Abe to overcome inherited race hatred, and Aziza to learn to express love, which they both ultimately achieve. But as Storyteller has said, there are many paths in our lives that we can choose to take, some more pleasurable than others. The easier pathways that they could have chosen would have been to elevate the vibrations of their fear to love, and in that way Abe would have risen above his deep fear of cultural differences, and would have openly and joyously declared his love to Aziza. The same freedom would have been achieved by Aziza, simply by replacing the fear of rejection in her heart with the higher energy of unreserved love. She would have then found it easy to express her feelings freely back to Abe, which possibly may have resulted in the two of them still being together today. Two different game pathways that project entirely different life experiences, but fortunately at least both had the same result of fulfilling the life purposes that they were hoping to achieve in this lifetime, which is not often the case.
Fempower then said, with a heavy heart,
I still find it very sad that they didn't receive Storyteller's knowledge early enough for them to overcome their fears. But I now understand the absolute importance of the Hermetic teachings that we have been given. It is imperative that the world understands that the greatest game of all is all about being conscious of our negative emotions and then elevating those vibrations away from fear towards love, so that we can create the very best experiences for our lives and for our planet.
Deepak then added,
I agree with you, Fempower, and to do that we must keep reminding ourselves that we are only playing a game. I would also like to thank you, Arif, for the insights you have been sharing with us, and I was wondering if the Illumined Ones have said anything about the man who killed Abe and how he fits into the story.
Arif was still trying to understand how this knowledge was being channeled through to him, so he took a little time before he replied.
I believe they are telling me that his life purpose for this lifetime was to finally overcome his violent nature, which has been part of his character for many lives. In this lifetime, he has been raised in a small secretive community here in San Francisco that follows strict Sharia law, and his father, who is a very firm disciplinarian of his mother and sisters, would often criticize the public figure of Aziza as being the daughter of a Muslim mother who married a non-Muslim. This was common news, as they had appeared in a TV documentary about cultural integration, but to make matters worse, the attacker's father condemned Aziza as a disgrace to Allah by not following the Muslim faith herself and by flaunting herself disrespectfully as a Western woman. The attacker is a young man who has not only grown up in a cold and unloving environment, but has also not been accepted outside of his own small community because of his radical beliefs. His mind has been continually filled with hatred, violence, and fear, which has prompted his eventual attack on Aziza.
Lotus was looking very distraught when she asked,
What did he think he would gain from attacking her?
And Arif replied, with deep sadness,
He had been told that he would be immortalized and receive eternal love from Allah if he killed her, and sadly love was all that he had craved for his entire life.
Oh no, that makes it even more senseless.
cried Teresa.
Because now his life is also ruined because of the ridiculous lies he had been told. I think you would all agree that knowing what we all know now makes this even more tragic.
And they were all surprised to hear a very solemn yes echo back from all parts of the world. Zoltan then said,
Buddhists believe that our karma decides where we reincarnate, and so the family environment he was born into was to remind him to overcome a violent nature by discovering the power of his higher self through love. Unfortunately, he didn't achieve that, but don't you find it interesting that his violent actions actually helped Abe to fulfill his own life purpose of using love to overpower his inherited racist fears? It's a strange twist, and it makes me think that we are playing in each other's games for many different reasons beyond our rationale.
Deepak nodded in agreement and replied,
I can now understand what Storyteller meant when he said that many of us live in a delusion of who we think we are. which has evolved from our religious beliefs and upbringing. We now know that the prophets and masters throughout history stayed on earth to bring light to the darkness of our minds, yet the religions that evolved from their messages of love are now part of that darkness that stops us from advancing in the greatest game of all.
He then continued with compassion.
It would have been very difficult for that young man to have found the strength to break away from his family, religion, and mind conditioning to discover the truth about life, so that eventually he could have become whoever he wanted to be, and ultimately fulfill his life purpose of overcoming his violent nature.
Yes, he certainly had his work cut out.
Said Lotus with empathy.
But this highlights why there are so many religious conflicts in our world, because even within individual religions, there are many factions who still fight over whose interpretation of their scriptures is correct. Surely now, we all understand how important it is for our world to unite as one and play the greatest game of all, with the knowledge and wisdom we have now been given.
And millions of people replied, with an impassioned yes. Game Changer nearly fell off the lounge as he heard the power of their voices, and unable to contain himself, shouted out,
"We can't hear you!"
And a thunderous roar came back, yes, 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 oh my God, yes. And then the song Let Love Be the Power could be heard everywhere around the world. The team expected to see Storyteller sitting on the lounge smiling, but he wasn't, so they all happily joined in with the song regardless, not knowing where it came from but glad it was there.